Welcome back to Sports Rap Live, everybody. We are hot. I think it's hit triple digits on the Sports Rap Lounge tonight. Hope you guys can hear us loud and clear out there. We're going to do a show, whether or not we're live on the air, because you're going to see it on sportsraplive.com. That's Rap with two P's. Why is that, Tito?
Because two P's are always better than one.
That's true. And the steak and potatoes double baked. Just for you.
Wow.
Just for you. For me. Is enjoyable, so I want you to enjoy that.
Or you can always catch the show live right here at Junction Bar.
They know that. They know that. People tomorrow morning will be pissed that they missed it. Yeah, they should have been here tonight. Alright, well hey, typically this is the quietest week in sports, but the action on the diamond gets back in full swing tomorrow. And now that Andrew's back from Vegas and the sports book sipping on Moscato, we have to look ahead and make some picks on who we think we're going to be there in October. But first thing up in the Martinez report, we have to discuss the ass whooping that the National League put on the American League in this year's Midsummer Classic. If you really didn't take the action because you were playing poker, but hey, we saw Tony La Russa, who was the manager of the winning team, and all of his bling right there on the red carpet at the ESPYs. And he looked like a boss. And our good buddy Ish said, bad time.
Yeah.
Bad time. But the rings, you don't look at the time when you see all those championship rings. Your thoughts on the game, Andrew, the All-Star game? Let's wrap that up.
I thought that, it's supposed to be an exhibition, and that's how it felt to me. Justin Verlander, I'm not sure if you caught it in his post-game press conference, but he talked about how, one pitch he threw 100, and then Fielder kind of was like, hey, Justin, Bird, come over. He was like, Bird, come over here. 101. You wanted him to bump it up to 101. So the next pitch he threw 101. Like, it's just kind of feel of like, I'm just going out there trying to do it for the fans, or kind of whatever, take it easy. That's like kind of the spirit that the players kind of took it with. Even if you look like Ian Kinsler, the hit that Chipper Jones got, where it was just far enough out of his reach that if he could go for it, he would have got the ball and threw it after him.
Right.
But he was just like, it's an exhibition game. I'm just not going to go that hard for it. Why should he? It really didn't, at that point in the game, the score wasn't in doubt. I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, but it shows you, just those players, the way they played that game, it's not that big of a deal of a game.
Okay, but not as bad as the NFL.
No. We can talk about that in a minute, about what you think of the games is competitive or not. I think baseball is by far the most competitive because the defense that goes into it is the pitching. And the pitching at least is better than any sort of defense you'll have in an NBA basketball, All-Star game, or any sort of, hockey, or definitely the NFL.
Let me ask you this, Andrew. I mean, we talk on the show we're Twitter heavy, and this is the first year that the MLB allowed players and players to tweet as they left the game. Did you keep an eye on that?
I did. Actually, the actual program kept track of that. I didn't think it was anything that big of a deal. If you were following the game on TV or watching it at home, you weren't usually by your computer being like, oh, let me see what so-and-so is going to say, because the message that comes out from those players is all the same. They're all like, I love being here, this is great. And it's, if you follow one unique individual player, it's kind of cool because you're like, that's my guy. But it's the same message from all the players.
Let me tell you something. You know what it is? You know what it is? It's their publicist who's probably running
Right, and it's also MLB baseball that has a computer set up there right for them, and they're looking over their shoulder being like, what are they going to tweet out,
You see it firsthand.
Unless it's Brian Wilson. He's got Sasquatch on it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a little bit about that. But he wasn't involved. I'm sure he much would have rather been involved in an actual All-Star game than at the ESPYs last night.
Look, we'll go from All-Stars to maybe some baseball news, look ahead at the season, but I want to get into some of this ESPY talk and tell you guys some of the stories. And
we'll get into that in a little bit.
All right, well, let's...
the rest of the All-Star game, as far as...
This is cute. A panda and a Melky.
Well, yeah. As far as the MVP, it was Pablo Sandoval that actually I thought should have been it, and not Melky Cabrera. Melky Cabrera hit a 2-run home run that turned it from a 6-0 game into an 8-0 game. That really didn't seem to me like it was really meaningful within the game. The game was already over by that point. I thought the bigger hit was the Panda 3-run triple he hit, because that took the game from 1-0 to 4-0 in the first inning, and then you were kind of like, is this going to be a blowout? What's going on with this game? And AL never recovered. I thought it was a much bigger hit. I thought he was more deserving. Melky, I guess he gets it because, he's, I guess, part of being a former Royal himself last year. I guess, but he's also been a former Yankee and also a former Brave. So I don't really know how far you want to chase that down. And the other thing is, MVPs in these sort of games are really arbitrary. You can pick a ton of different guys and say it was so-and-so or so-and-so and so-and-so. It doesn't really mean anything to me or to the players. I also thought it was embarrassing of baseball, and especially Fox, to not have an actual translator for him at that when he was accepting the award, because they asked him, you know, who's with you? Is this your mom? Like, is that your grandma? And he's like, yes, I love the fans. I'm here for the fans. And they were like, they asked him again, and you be clear, it's not that he was embarrassed, he just didn't know what was going on. And so I thought it was just embarrassing for Fox and for baseball that you have an MVP guy, you know, you're going to give an award and you don't really know what he's saying. It's not that hard. There's a translator there for every sort of, you know, locker room instance or any sort of media interview. So I didn't really make sense of that.
You know what I was pissed off about?
What's that?
I got to Los Angeles Tuesday night, and by the time I got to the bar at 8:30, the game was over on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, I was on the West Coast as well.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, West Coast.
No, it's not a happy camper.
All sporting events are matinees on the West Coast. You have to be on that OG Rapp Brett schedule to get it in.
No doubt. All right, well, let's move on. What about the young guys? We had Mike Trout. We had Bryce Harper. We even saw the kid in the home run derby who made some noise. Shaved head. What's his name? In the home run derby from the Angels.
Oh, Trumbo.
Yeah.
Trumbo, Mike Trumbo.
These young guys, and they made an impact this weekend.
Yeah, no, I was really excited to see Trapper Harper. And the thing I think people won't realize in that game is they both drew a walk. And that might sound sort of boring to you, and that they stood there and took 4 pitches. But for a guy that's 19 and 20 years old, to stand up there and have the patience to not just swing out of their shoes, to try and drive 500 feet, you know, they actually were disciplined enough to try and see their 4 pitches and be like, you know what, I'm going to take my base.
You know what? I kind of thought the same thing. I saw some of the highlights. I thought the same thing. I was like, this guy just wants to be on base and like take it all.
Well, no, it's just his baseball instincts kicking in. It's not him actually thinking, I'm going to try and hit a laser or, you know, hit a bomb out of here. It's him being like, that's a bad pitch, or that's a bad pitch. Well, I can't swing at that. I'm going to take my base.
And enjoy being on first base.
Right. And the thing about that is that Harper, he actually tagged up and went to first and second. You know, he was trying to be aggressive. He got thrown off of second when he actually went a little too aggressive, a little too far.
He also dropped the fly ball.
He also dropped the fly ball, but he lost in the lights. But you know, it showed his you know, youth and his, you know, raw talent that he has. And I thought also in his first at bat, Trout, he had a great facing R.A. Dickey, who has been one of the toughest guys to hit all year with that curveball, that knuckleball. He first and second pitch I think he saw, he laced one. So I think we actually got to see a lot out of those two guys. And the thing is that they probably got so much more out of it than other players will, being young, because they're going to go out and talk to Derek Jeter. They're going to talk to these guys who have been around for a long time. They're going to talk to these managers that haven't been around and get a lot of that knowledge, you know, from the weekend.
Imagine being 19 years old and you had a run of like 11 or 12 straight All-Star games, and you're still only 30, 31 years old.
I think you could definitely see a scenario where both these guys get 20 in a row.
You know how the fan voting goes. As soon as they like you, and as soon as you're, you know, the young hot ball player, they'll vote for you every single year.
And but when these guys both become Yankees, you know they're going to be in every year.
Right, yeah. Playing the same outfit.
There was a little bit of controversy though on who was going to be the starting pitcher for the NL between Matt Cain and R.A. Dickey. I thought it should have been Dickey, but I don't have a big problem with it, you know, versus being Cain. You know, they're both very deserving. They both have excellent years. Listen, the NL threw a shutout. How can you argue with the way Tony La Russa set it up if the team threw a shutout? So,
what are your thoughts on that? The guy's not even in baseball anymore. But obviously he has the right to coach the All-Star game. But
I think it's fine with staying with tradition. I think it's better than bringing up someone who's coaching right now and being like, oh, you have the NL's best record, so we're bringing you up or whatever. Plus, I think he works actually with baseball every day, you know, in the commissioner's office. So it's not like he's removed from the game. It's not like he's decided to, oh, I'm leaving the game, I'm going out to, you know, live on an island, and then come back just to see what's going on. He's in touch with the game.
I kind of gave Canoma some insight because when I asked to see the rings, it was very Tony, if you know what I mean. You know, kiss the rings.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he runs his clubhouse. That's kind of the guy he is.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer first.
He's better believe it.
So he's very analytical, very, you know, strategy-wise. I want to say one thing that rubbed me the wrong way about the game is that just all the pitching changes, all the whole thing of trying to get all the players in the game, it makes it for a drawn-out game. I'm trying to watch the last 2 innings, and it's, one pitch, you know, you got this guy out, bring a new pitcher in. You got this guy out, bring another pitcher in. It just drags on way too long at the end of the game when you're trying to get guys in just to get them in.
Yeah, so very true. All right, hey, let's touch on the home run derby before I drink another beer and have to tell you about our next
trend. We'll go on Facebook, on Instagram.
I thought the home run derby, yeah, it was really a bad, I would say, home run derby, and the fact that Robinson Cano just got destroyed. He got destroyed.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
I felt
Mostly because,
uncomfortable.
okay, so what happened was, for those who don't know, is Robinson Cano was one of the captains, and he could have picked any players he wanted from the AL. He talked about picking, you know, quote-unquote country breakfast, that's my nickname for him, but Billy Butler, who was a player there that was represented for the AL, for the Royals. He talked about picking him, but he didn't pick him. So when he didn't pick him, the Royals fans were willing to let him have it. And they did. They booed him the whole way through his at-bat. He got 0 home runs.
Yeah.
After a year after winning it.
Dad pitched it to him.
Yeah. And he won it last year. He won it last year, so it's not as bad. But you know, when you go over against the hometown fans are there, you're just going to get destroyed. So, and I thought that was terrible. I think it's terrible when anyone gets booed in an All-Star game.
You know what I loved?
What's that?
See if Prince put him in the fountain.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a big old boy.
Any of you guys watch the Home Run Derby? Watching Prince Fielder, who is vegetarian, and
He stopped that.
He stopped it?
Yeah.
Well, it was vegetarian, still smash balls like that. I mean, the dude is just, he's just a masher.
Side note, Arian Foster is now vegan. You didn't hear about that?
No, hey, you cannot spell vegetarian without Arian.
I didn't think about that.
Yep.
Wow.
Believe it. Believe it. Hey,
But this whole controversy with Robinson Cano brings up a good point. Should the home run derby actually include one hometown guy every year? They're talking about doing it because of how much Robinson Cano got booed. I think it's a great idea. Why would you not want to have it brings more fans to the yard.
He was laughing. Country Breakfast was sitting there. He was
But it brings more fans to the yard. If I told you, hey, one of your guys or even 2 of your guys are going to be in the home run derby, you know, at least one, it gives you a reason to watch or tune in or show up, you know. It's going to be sellout every year, but it's much better when there's a hometown guy. When Bergman was here with the Astros, it was a great experience.
Remember that was
It was a great experience. He was just stroking himself. I thought it was a great game. You know.
Pause.
So I thought that was great. I think they do need to do that. I think they should bring it back to the hometown team.
Easy.
The last thing I'll say about that is
Rapp back.
Chris Berman, he has got to go. They got to get rid of Chris Berman from doing the home run derby. It's just so painful. 49 backs is what they counted on the night, which I thought was low. I thought it was like 200.
Did you put some money on that in Vegas?
No, you couldn't bet on that, but I probably would have. That good.
We saw Berman out there at the Astros.
We did. He just,
Overall, I'll say the whole event of the weekend, I thought it was a good weekend. I thought the people in Kansas City really turned out for the game. There was a lot of people turned out for the Futures game. I didn't get to watch it because I was on a plane, but I recorded it. But I think it was a great weekend for baseball and a great exposure for the game. Getting Yu Darvish in, getting that sort of Japanese take on there, getting all the young guys in.
Getting the Japanese in. Did you hear that?
Hold up. That sounds like something I do on the weekend.
Yeah. How was that steak?
Also bringing in, you know, the young guys, bringing in Chipper Jones for his final All-Star game. Overall, not a bad weekend. I know the AL got, you know, crushed, but that really didn't matter to me. I thought it was a good event for baseball.
How do you grade it as an All-Star game in Kansas City? A place where, you know, not too many people are inclined to go.
I wasn't there obviously, but I think from everything I heard, I'd give it about a 7. The game could have been much better, but when you take into account the city that people really haven't been to Kaufman in a long time, you take into account the actual, they have a lot of young guys. That Futures game was the highest attended Futures game ever for baseball, for the minor leaguers. The highest attended because they had Will Myers, a hometown guy who they had as a
Half the squad was
prospect.
probably an Astro.
What was that?
I said half the squad was probably an Astro.
Yeah, they had a few Astros out there, but I think overall it was really good. I mean, there was nothing really bad to say about that I heard anything as far as going on with the rosters or trying to get guys on or people bowing out like we had last year with Jeter or any of that stuff where people were bowing out because it was kind of like, who's actually on the All-Star team? Is everyone on it now, you know?
Yeah. Did you watch any of the softball, the charity softball game?
I didn't watch any of that.
Yeah, Jenny Finch. Shout out to Jenny Finch. She gave us an interview on the red carpet at the
Oh, cool.
Very, very nice lady and very happy to speak
Her
with her.
husband was a former Astro.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And she's got a great campaign going right now. We'll tell you about later on. But hey, I got to give you guys a little information right now, just in case you get pulled over.
Our own great campaign.
Yeah, it is. This is a campaign that's been going 6 months strong now on Sports Rap Live, and it's all about the man himself. Who's that?
Gary Tricker!
No, Rap Guy's in the building when it's in unison and it's in stereo right here at the Sports Rap Lounge. And that is Gary Tricker, H-Town's top EWI lawyer. And I gotta tell you guys just a few words of advice. If you're gonna drink, Tito, and I think you actually are enjoying a beverage tonight, a Lone Star beer. Absolutely. And shout out to Lone Star, PBR, in the building tonight for the first time together,
Thank you.
forever it seems like, for 2 years, we've been guzzling these things.
We've been living off this stuff.
We really have. It's all about what? Andrew, beer and bar food, right?
Yeah, Lone Star and bar food.
That's what we've lived on doing our show here on Sports Out Live, yes. And but if you're gonna leave this place and you've had a few Lone Stars, you've got to have this man's number in your phone, and it's 713-524. Tan. Or as they say, Ochimina. Yes, call him up, Gary Trichter. If you get stopped, please continue to be polite and ask for your lawyer and call this number, 713-524-1010. Gary Trichter gets free plugs on the podcast. I mean, that's just how we roll, right? This seems to be even paid airtime right now, and Gary Trichter gets love right here. All right, well, let's continue on with the Martinez report a little bit and talk about the trade deadline that's right around the corner. I think we got about 4 or 5 minutes, so
yeah, are you going to be wearing some church clothes coming here?
Yeah, what was the bet? Because we've been talking about
the bet was basically that I thought that Cherry Francona, not Cherry Francona, you know, his
Bobby Valentine.
Yeah, his replacement of sorts in Boston. I thought he'd be fired by the end of the All-Star break. When you look at actually Boston and what's going on, I'm still surprised they haven't fired him.
This is his church clothes. He's wearing them tonight.
No, this isn't church clothes. But you think about it, okay, first base, what's going wrong there? Well, you know, Adrian Gonzalez is still not really looking at the guy they traded for. Second base, Petey, he's hurt right now. He's going to be gone for 3 or 4, probably 6 to 8 weeks. They have Pedro Soroka playing second base. Most of you don't even know who that is. I would be surprised if Boston fans don't know who that is. Shortstop, they really don't have a strong shortstop right there right now. Third base is going to be a complete disaster. We're trying to get, you know, Kevin Youkilis there and then Will Middlebrooks. That whole debacle. The outfield, Carl Crawford hasn't played this entire season.
Who?
Carl Crawford. Yeah, he's actually.
That guy used to play for the Rays.
Yeah. What about Jacoby Ellsbury? The guy who won the MVP last year. He's played how many games? Like 2 this year?
I think.
Yeah. And then you also had Adrian Gonzalez trying to play a little bit of outfield as well. That's been a disaster. The only position I'd say would be a saving grace to them this year that went better than we thought. It's catcher. John Saltamaki has actually been really, really good this year at catcher for them. But you look at the pitching back into their bullpen. Who did they trade for? Mark Alonso being gone the whole year. Andrew Bailey getting hurt the whole year. You know?
Don't get it twisted. Hey, just because Milan Sons get shipped out of the minors doesn't mean that all Milan Sons are not Major League.
Fair enough. Pitching-wise, they had the whole thing with the Josh Beckett and him playing golf, you know, on his off days. That was the whole debacle. John Lester right now is going to defend himself against, you know, about him with his relationship with coaches.
Bottom line, with all this mess, I mean, there's still a couple games.
9.5 out of the East. I mean, the wild card's what we have to talk about with them. Wild card 2.5. Yeah, with that reach. Okay. But you want to talk about all the things that can go wrong with them. This is why I thought, Adam, that they might be wanting to fire a guy like, you know, like Bobby Valentine. Because Bobby Valentine immediately called out Kevin Youkilis, and then Youkilis, that was pretty much the whole beginning of the end. He doesn't know who that clubhouse is like. He was obviously the wrong guy for the job. He's going to get fired. It's just not going to be now.
And Youkilis is doing pretty well in Chicago.
Yeah, he has. It's surprising that you got to Boston and everyone hates you. Manager hates you. You know, the media hates you, and then you do better when the pressure's lifted.
You and Frank Cohen were pretty tight, though.
Yeah, they were, but he's no longer there. That's the problem.
Very true. See how it can change the entire team?
Yeah, I want to just talk about, you know, how close it's going to be down the stretch on these different divisions. And you look at the NL in general, each division is a 3-team race. In the East, you have Washington, you know, the Nationals, who've been kind of going wire to wire. They need to pick up a lot of pitching. What are they going to do in Strasburg against that 160 innings? They need to go get a pitcher. The Braves and the Mets are both kind of, you know, they probably need to go out and get some offense. The Mets really need some pitching in the back end of their bullpen. As far as the National League, Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is maybe the best story of the whole season. They are right now have the best record in all the National League. They could really need to go out and get a pitcher. Then you go get a pitcher. Any offense would be a welcome offense because basically, you know, McCutcheon and whenever Pedro Alvarez decides to hit, it's a 2-man team.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's kind of been the talk of the town the past couple of weeks. And I remember when you first brought them up, you kind of thought they would fizzle out. Do you still see that happening?
Yes, I do. Because how are they doing for it? How are they doing? They're doing it with bullpen and a couple starting pitchers and 2 guys that can hit. I don't think that's going to last over a long haul because their defense isn't that good and they don't have enough hitting. They just don't have enough hitting to keep this going. Plus, what if one of those 2 starters they have that have been doing great starts doing bad. He just can't perform as well as he has been. You know, what are we to say if that happens? Then they're going to have one starter? Or let's say what happens to their closer? Are they really going to have someone else set up enough depth in that bullpen? I just think there are too many things that could go wrong for them to actually keep this the whole way up. I think they can still make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to win the division.
Oh, that's interesting. So they could make the playoffs.
They could.
A few games about. Oh, there's 2 wild cards now.
Right, they could. Yeah.
Ah, that's right. That's
In the West, I think the West is totally wide open. I will say though that the Dodgers are really not coming back. He's coming back on tomorrow, I think.
What do you think about him being in the home run derby?
I thought it was dumb.
They say it's glorified black batting practice, but you're real fine.
I thought it was dumb. Only that if he was that good and healthy enough to do that, why are you playing the game? Like if you're healthy enough to do that, why aren't you playing the game? Or why are you doing that at all? Don't even chance it. Just don't do any of that. Just basically sit the whole weekend out and just walk around with your tennis shoes on. That's like that. But it's interesting though because that team needs so many things. They need pitching. Maybe at the back of their bullpen. They definitely need hitting. They need a shortstop. T. Gordon's out for basically, who knows how long. They need a second baseman. They need a first baseman. They need, lots and lots of positions. They need offense. So, not much. I think the most interesting team out of all that, though, is the Diamondbacks. Defending champs of that division. There's talk of them trading Justin Upton. Makes no sense to me. Plus, Justin Upton's not having that good of a year. Why would you trade a guy when his value is not the highest?
5 tools.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Ridiculous. All right,
and also, I would say 2 months ago, he's not going to figure it out. That guy is just done for the year.
No. For the year or for career?
For the year.
Is he another Barry Zito?
No, different pitcher.
Sure?
Barry Zito. Totally different pitcher.
But I mean, that type of decline.
It's going. You can't say. We don't know what the medicals are. We don't know if there's something wrong with him. Until after.
Dude, he's my size with a skull.
Yeah, but he's got talent.
Oh.
Baseball talent. Hey, you know what?
All right.
In the East?
Yeah, I think we're gonna go to a break right now.
No, they went to the East.
Okay.
In the East, I'll say the Yankees are running away with it. That's pretty close. Totally fair in the AL East. In the Central, though, White Sox, Cleveland, and Detroit. Really, anyone's game. Who wants to make a move and trade for someone? Who needs some pitching? Go out and get some pitching. We'll talk about it. Cleveland, I have no idea how they're doing this.
How ironic that both Central divisions in each league are terrible.
The other thing is just like last year. When we were talking about the Indians last year and how they were doing so great and the Tigers ran them down, this year I think the White Sox could hold on to it, but there's a scenario where either of those teams could run them down. In the West, I think the Rangers are clearly the best team in that division, but the Angels only 4 back. Really, when you look at how they're doing it, Trout and Trumbo are really carrying this team. Pujols has been able to kind of sit back and hit like the 3rd best hitter on this team.
You should have seen La Russa guzzle his compliments all over the red carpet for Albert Pujols. He loves him some Pujols.
But Adam, look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 teams that are within 2.5 games of the wild card spot. That's insane. Dude, that's crazy.
That's the whole idea of this thing.
I know. It's everyone is a buyer. There are no sellers. So really, it's anyone's game down the stretch.
And we're going to talk Martinez report all summer long.
I agree.
But we're not going to talk guzzling Pujols.
We're talking about
No, you know what we're going to talk about? The first annual Beats in Boxing. Oh man, Johnny's in the building tonight. He brought along a good friend of his, and he's going to tell you about this event. And it just so happens it's sponsored by Lone Star as well.
Wow, look at that.
Yep. July 21st, 2012 at the Mall of the Mainland. Man, that's Texas City, baby. I already know, man. Because Shane's down there at the, not Amico. What's it called now? I don't know. But that's where he's at. He's still down there in the plants, man. Mall of the Mainland. All right, we're going to go to break right now. When we come back, let's talk about beats and boxing. We're going to get into some NFL nuggets. We still got bad raps tonight, I think.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think we do. And Andrew wants to touch on Penn State. So, we might let him touch on
This is exactly what I talked about staying on task.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm just saying.
I guess
We'll get
part
into
of
that.
Penn State if you want
That
to
might be part of the bad rap. You guys stick around. We'll be right back here on Sports Rap Live.
We'll be right back.